Good morning, afternoon, middle of the day, everyone. Today's a bit of a strange time for starting. Unfortunately, I've got something on this afternoon, so I couldn't do it then. And it also looks like Facebook is not being our friend and not letting us stream Linda. So we'll just have to go old school and record it to cassette and then digitally transfer it, etc. So Linda and I have known each other for quite a while. She reminded me a while back that she attended one of my off-camera flash workshops way back when, we kind of checked out some of the images and that sort of thing. It brings back a lot of cool memories.
But what was it called? Like Rock the Shot, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Something.
Yeah, something cool, back in the day. So Linda's has gone on to really do so well with her wedding photography and using off-camera flash. Today she's going to be bringing the art into artificial lights for weddings, which I think is going to be amazing. I just love the way that she uses flash, and I think you will too. So Linda, maybe what we should do is ask you, so during this lockdown period, what have you been doing? How have you been keeping yourself busy?
Well, there's always editing for wedding photographers. I mean, we were mid-season still, so catching up on that. And then also a lot of admin with all the weddings moving, obviously.
Yeah.
And postponements, some cancellations of international clients. So a lot of admin. So yeah, I've been busy in terms of working as usual for now.
Yeah.
So I've been keeping sane. So yeah, and it's a good time to work on your business as well. I've updated my website. I haven't done that in like 2 years.
Yeah.
So I know, like so many of us do that. So yeah, so it's a good time to actually catch up on stuff that you don't get time for, and branding as well. I don't have branding at the moment. I'm still working on it. So or new branding. So yeah, it's a good time to do that. So we're keeping positive.
Fantastic. Yeah, I did a presentation on the group. I think it was about 2 weeks ago, on how photographers can get through this period, and it's basically just look at all your stuff. Make sure that it's all current and just reinvigorate everything. So yeah, absolutely, it's definitely what we need to do if we're not under the whip and having to edit hundreds of weddings. Like some of us. Definitely work with
Yeah, I'm almost caught up with that. So, and then also albums is a big part of what I do, so lots of time for being that. And so yeah, it's been good. Some days are worse than others, obviously. So yeah, we're keeping on, so that's all we can do right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so shall I start sharing my screen?
Yeah, over to you.
Cool. This one. Is it sharing?
Yep.
Cool. All right. Hi, everyone. So this is me. In a nutshell, I'm a wedding photographer based in Cape Town right now, but I do travel for weddings all over the world. I've done really big ones, really small ones. So I really love my job, and as Quentin said, I think I was the biggest Quentin Mills fangirl back in, what was it, 2010, 2011. So I actually had an online course that I was doing. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I did an online course, and they said, okay, we must do like a case study of photographers that we love, and obviously your SEO was really good. I didn't know any photographers at the time, so I typed in wedding photographer and Quentin Mills came up, and I was just blown away by the way he used flash, and like it was so vibrant and so contrasty, and I absolutely loved it. I remember your website having like a dance floor image with the flashes on the dance floor and the couple dancing, and I was just blown away, and I was drawn into it, and I started following him, and then the workshop came along and it was completely life-changing. So obviously at the beginning I did a lot of flash work, but then I started realizing, okay, I need to find the balance. So here's a couple of examples of other work that I do as well. Documentary work is a big part of what I do, and then obviously the Vogue shots that people love so much. So feel free to follow me on Insta or DM me if you have any other questions afterwards. But yeah, let's start this out. So basically taking pretty pictures is pretty easy. But what sets you apart? This is why I do flash. What sets you apart from the competition? Like everyone is doing light and airy and pretty, and like then it becomes a price war. So you need to do something different that not everyone else is doing. So I'm really passionate to create works of art for the couples, but also not forgetting the documentary side. So yeah, this used to be me. Well, it's actually still me, the crazy person, like hiking up a mountain to get to a waterfall with a heavy B1 in my backpack. Like I'm completely fearless when it comes to wedding photography. When it starts raining, like everyone's looking at the photographer like, what now? You know, and I'm like, hell yes. So I'm that person. I don't fear anything. My equipment needs to work with or for me. So obviously I don't wear that to weddings. This was afterwards. So
yeah, I'm not sure that that barefoot would qualify as appropriate wedding outfit.
I know. So yeah, that's the fearlessness that I have. So I have a camera, I have lighting, I go out if I have to, I go in dust storms, hailstorms. I do what I need to do to get the shots. So yeah, so what I'm going to be touching on, technique, obviously. I'm not going to go into the technical side of things because obviously there's some basics that you need to know. You need to know your camera shutter, sync speed, and how it works together. Very basic, but I'm not going to go into that. I'm going to go more inspirational and obviously reasons I use flash, from the basic reasons to the more creative reasons. And then some challenges. I think there's a lot more challenges involved, but yeah, I'm going to touch on some of that. There's a lot of them. And equipment. Equipment isn't as important as people think, but it does make a difference in terms of recycling times. And so artificial light, I don't really just mean flash necessarily. You can use a torch, you can use your cell phone light, anything that's, or LED, anything that makes light. Light is light, cheap light is light. Obviously, there's going to be some restrictions for what you use. And then we'll go over into some questions. So yeah, technique. Know the rules, but don't get stuck on them. Like I said, you have to know your camera's limitations, your lighting's limitations, but don't get stuck on them. Don't go like, okay, I need to expose for the background, like F22, overpower the sun and just blast the flash at them. I used to do that. I'll show you now. So yeah, that's not the only way of doing it. Then obviously, nowadays recycling time is less of an issue than back then. We had lights with like AA batteries, and now you get like all the heads like Pro Photo that I'm using, but you get different brands built in, lithium batteries built in, so they recycle like this. So that's not such an issue anymore. But yeah, so know the limitations of your gear, and then also use light with intent. That's something I used to not do as well. I used it for the sake of it because I learned flash, I loved the look, and then everything was flash. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. The couples loved it, but it wasn't for everyone. So there was no balance. So yeah, if it doesn't do something for the image, leave it out. So this is not just for weddings, obviously. You can use it in any genre. So again, with harsh, flashy look, unless it's intentional, it doesn't work for everything. It's not good for skin tones and skin in general. It shows a lot more, but I'll touch on that later. And then while exposing for the background and then filling, like I said, now doesn't always work. What if you don't have ambient light? What if you just have this very dark scene? You've got some rain coming down, you can't see it if you just expose for the background. So again, finding the balance. So yeah, earlier work of mine, overpowering the sun, that was like, that had to be like F22, possibly with a filter as well, an ND filter, and just blasting 500 watts on them for the sake of it. And it was, at the time, it was a nice shot. They loved it. It sold a lot of work for me. It got me a lot of work because no one else was doing it. Or there was other people doing it, but not everyone else was doing it. So, and then that was my very first night photo. You can see everything is in focus. I think there was like 6 switches a tree to light it up. Nowadays I do it like probably with 1 or 2, so with a torch. So this was what I used to do, and it's not always necessary. It worked at the time, but yeah, you need to find the balance. So this can also be flash. That is flash. What happens after sunset? It becomes very, very flat. You can see, or we're basically in shade behind the mountain. So it becomes very flat, very blue. So just adding some definition into the skin tones and into the scene, basically. Again, all of these are done with flash or artificial light. Below right was just a LED torch. So top right was a speed light shot through a scrim just to fake that last light of the sunset because we didn't have it. So yeah, flash doesn't have to look flashy. That's what I want to talk about.
So you mentioned a good point there, and I was going to ask you what you were using now. You know, if you've got your pro photos, it's fairly easy because you've got 500 watts of lightning behind you. It's much easier then to shoot through like an octa or something like that. And you mentioned there that you were shooting through a scrim with that one. When you started off, what did you use, and what are you using now with your pro photo gear?
I think at the time of that shot, it would have been, I think, a Nikon SP800 or a Canon 430X. It would have been one of my older flashes with like cheap triggers. So, I mean, it's low light, so you can just like high power through the scrim. And then obviously recycling time would have been a big issue with the AA. So nowadays, I mean, with the B10s from Pro Photo, they have a built-in LED. So I would probably not use a scrim, but just use the LED. It's temperature adjustable, so it goes warmer, colder, and you can flash. So you don't really need that much power anymore. But yeah, again, depends what you do. I don't use the 500 watt one anymore at all at weddings because it's like double the weight. For that one stop power. I have a 250 watt B10 now because that's one stop of power for that one shot that you really want to overpower the sun, which you're not really gonna need. You absolutely carry that 3 kilograms extra with you for the sake of it. So that's not me anymore. I use what I can find. Sometimes I just grab someone's cell phone, but the B10 has changing with the LED built in, so switch to LED, switch to flash. So that's been pretty handy. So yeah, reasons to add artificial light to your shots: obviously exposing for the background, overriding the ambient, enhancing what's already there. That's my favorite one. And then creative lighting and creating a mood. So for this one, beautiful shot. The couple loved it. But if you look closely behind them, there's a spectacular sunset happening. It's a dusty sunset on their farm in Northwest, but you won't see it if you expose for the couple. So obviously, basics, that's what you're going to get if you expose for the sunset. And I probably would throw the shot in for them because they would like it. Most clients would like it, but it's not something you're going to advertise on your website. Everyone else is doing it. That's like the most beginner way of shooting a backlit couple. So yeah, so basically you balance it out and you throw in the flash. It was quite a small 2-foot octa, very close, camera left, so just out of the shot. And because I traveled for this, so I need to fly with as little as possible. So same thing, just balancing, and I'm getting the sunset from this to that. I didn't move them at all. So that's the most basic way of using flash that you learn at the beginning. Same thing here. It's Cape Town, it's middle December, it's a hot day, not a breeze, but we had some cloud, and something that you don't get in December in Cape Town is cloud cover. So it was just spectacular, and again, same technique, filling and exposing for that, where that's what you get when you expose for the couple. So very basic. Same thing here, just creating that moody clouds at the back, very dull and dead image on the left. It's usable, it would probably make a nice black and white, but on the right, just giving that little bit of vibrance to the image and the mood, cinematic feel. Again, from the same shoot, also a 2-foot octa. And then this is an example where I would be overpowering the sun. So that's what you would be getting, late afternoon, but still very high sun. I wanted to see what my 250 watt could get. I was testing it at the time, I still didn't buy it. So, and that's what I got from a 250 watt. So I realized I don't need the 500 watt. This is not something I would do at every wedding. This needs to be posed. You can't do a moment like that. It's not going to work that well. But this shot, although not maybe technically one of my best shots, got me an international wedding. So it draws attention, and it's just something different. Again, from the same shoot. And then, yeah, like I said, overriding the ambient. I love doing that as well. So that's a shot of, it's in the Zeiss. Those who have been in the Zeiss after dark know how dark it is, because you are reliant on the ambient light coming from outside with big windows and stuff. But after dark, this couple, their entire wedding, it rained and rained and rained the whole day. So we basically, the Zeiss gave us 20 minutes to shoot there. I think it was about 10 o'clock in the evening. So we were supposed to be there before sunset, but the entire day just rained out. And he was an architect working on the project, so he got special permission. We got about 20 minutes to shoot with a security guard watching us. So again, just using the flash from the camera left, just outside the frame there, or not outside the frame, under the stairs at the bottom, like out of the frame. So we got these different shots without moving the location, because we didn't have a lot of time. Same night, we went outside. It was just pouring and pouring the whole day. And just taking a photo like that, that is the ambient you're dealing with. So unless you have like a f0.0 lens, you're not going to expose for that ambient. So yeah, basically just, I said to them, listen, we're not going anywhere, we're done. You're going to get soaked, but what the hell, just run. And just put the flash at the back. Someone asked me on Instagram, so how do I do that? So I put I think it was the B10, it might have been the A1. I think it's the B10. So I would like literally just take a sparzakje. I always have a plastic bag in my camera bag. So just pull it over. I mean, you're not going to shoot hours with it so that it can overheat or block the fans or anything like that. So just quickly run out. And also I shoot with 5D Mark III still. So most of the lenses are weatherproof. So just dry it off afterwards. I've never had a problem. So yeah, and they loved it. It got so much attention. All their wedding photos were dark and moody like this, their couple photos. And it was fine, they loved it. So again, this shoot, the couple, very shy couple, especially the guy, he is a pianist, a really good one. So I asked them always, like, what is it? It's an engagement shoot. So what is it that you do that interests you? And he's like, well, I play piano. And I'm like, okay, let's use that. So they found this grand piano, but when we got there, it was like in the foyer of a church. So there was posters everywhere, these yellow downlights everywhere. So that was what I had to deal with. I'm like, oh my goodness. So pretty piano, pretty chandelier, that's about it. You know, you've got all these posters in the background. So what do? You can't shoot this natural light or with the ambient because you're going to have very average shots. So again, just starting to block out the background and even more. And we did all these shots. So that's the entire engagement shoot. And he was playing the whole time. He's a brilliant pianist. So he was playing through the whole shoot, and it was one of the most beautiful experiences for me. And she was just like hanging around, being all glad. So I really loved doing this, and he was actually playing. So that's what we got in a space that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to use if you went natural light.
I think that's the thing, you know, of having the tools to be able to make something out of nothing. You know, if you've got everything is beautiful and the light is amazing because it's in Tuscany, blah blah blah. You know, that's one thing. But I mean, if you're at a sort of a venue that's supposed to be outside, but it's completely raining, and all they've got is pool tables and game machines. You've got to be able to use the tools that you have, skill that you have to
Exactly, and I love when that happens because now I'm challenged to do something they didn't expect to get, and it's just so rewarding.
Don't you find it's also kind of like the pressure somehow is off because, well, I mean, what could go wrong? You know, it's already raining. Pressure's off. Let's go.
In a way, that's a good point, because they're not expecting much from this scene, and then you bring that back. So so this ceremony had this beautiful yellow light. How gorgeous is that for for a ceremony? And so you can't bounce off the roof; it's too high. You can't bounce off the walls because it's dark. So and it's going to come back yellow. So ceremony, most of them black and white. I couldn't really put the flash on them because of the videographers. So, but they wanted their family and the entourage photos. They chose this location for the romantic feel of it. So they wanted the family photos and the entourage inside. And I'm like, group shots in this light. So I think I had an umbrella with me, a white umbrella. So I just flashed through that. And that's the scene that we used. That's the ambient light. It's just wonderful, isn't it? So that's what we came up with, and this one. So although this is not like Harper's Bazaar quality lighting, you have 5 minutes before the shuttle comes. You have one shot. You can't build the shot and flash every person that like you would do with the composite shots. So yeah, and they were over the moon with the shots. So all the family photos and the entourage were done like this. So then my favorite, enhancing what's already there. Late, actually early afternoon shot. I think it was about 2 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock. So you've got this lovely blue light coming here from the shade, and yeah, people walking up and down. It was at the Toll Monument. So I thought, okay, let's just use that. Let's just use that blue cinematic feel. Let's not try and change it. And I went to where the person with pink is standing with his flash and just like blasted it from the back. So we got a really cinematic feel in a very ordinary space. So beautiful structure, but the lighting is horrible. So just enhancing what's there. Again, here, working alone. Yeah.
So that previous shot, the light on the couple is the natural light, the ambient light, and you adding. Yeah, so the natural light is the key light, and you're adding that whole background. Yes. It's fantastic. I absolutely love it. So cool.
So some of it would have bounced off the walls on this side to the front as well, but I didn't have any full flash. But I mean, there's a big entrance from the front here, so there will be some light on them. So the idea was, thank you, shoot like this, beautiful autumn leaves, but can't use a reflector because of the wind, or I'm working alone. There's no assistant. It's a weekday, short engagement shoot, public space, so you don't want to draw too much attention. So because I'm working alone, obviously. So that's what we got, just filling with the flash. Again, not looking flashy, beautiful autumn leaves going. You could do the same with the reflector, but you don't always have an extra pair of hands, or it's windy or something like that. So this was, I think, my A1, just open flash with the diffuser dome, but it's still a small light source, so you have to have it really close. So then after sunset, shade, and very like bluish look already, but we had these beautiful flowers that were going to be thrown away. Yes Events had them at their expo at Stellenbosch, so we went and fetched the flowers because they would have been thrown away. So we did something creative. That's my sister-in-law sitting there with the hoodie. She's a makeup artist, so we just had fun with this, and we got these shots. So again, just LED touch from the top, just filling in that little bit of a blue. It just gives some definition. You can see under the chin the bit of shadow coming in there. So again, same thing here, just filling the face, because the light from the door was coming in on the dress, but the face was completely dark. So again, just enhancing that light that was there. Another example, early, I think it was late September, so the jacarandas were still just coming out, and they really wanted to shot with the jacarandas, but that's the look. They're like little bit here, little bit there. So not very easy to capture something like that. So it's there is some, but not enough. So just pulling the backlight in there and just like adding some vibrance, and they loved it. So I probably would have used that shot as well. Just some editing would have worked well, but then just adding that wow factor. Again, just natural light versus flash. That was open flash with a B10. It was very windy, so there was no chance for softbox. So just low power and as close as you can get. So yeah, without moving, you have two very, very different shots, just enhancing what's there. Same thing here. could have probably scrimmed it, but then my shadow would have been, or the assistant shadow would have been on the ground. So just adding that oomph to the shot. Then creative lighting. Let me just check here. Creative lighting. Beautiful old house where the groom got dressed, but not much light. So I got one of the groomsmen to go, and I saw the beautiful reflection of him coming into the portrait there on the wall, but you can't capture it like that. So got the groomsmen to stand at the left just with the A1 or a speed light in the hand, and just bam. And we've got a cinematic look of a very shy guy who wasn't really feeling the photos. So, and they loved it. Same thing here. We just like literally filled without getting just a silhouette. I just wanted some definition in them. So camera right would have been a full flash, just lightly, so we don't have or camera right with me, like next to me, just so we don't have complete silhouettes. Again, rain, playing with rain. This was ice rain. It was like snowing that whole night. It was so cold. And again, just playing with raindrops. This one, during the daytime.
Go back there.
Yes?
Was that guy wearing a jacket? So
Which part?
Go to the snow rain or whatever it was.
Oh, this one. That was his wedding attire. He had a jersey. Like
I was just going to say, so he's wearing a jacket. She's got a strapless dress.
No, that was the groom style. He had a jersey. He didn't have a suit.
Okay.
So, again, daytime raindrops, you wouldn't have captured that. It literally poured the whole afternoon. We had to sit in the car, then run for a shot, then sit in the car, then run for a shot and plan what we're going to do. It was just pouring. And you wouldn't have captured that if you didn't backflash. Again, just doing completely something different without moving or changing anything. Again, that's the daytime shot, very boring. They wanted to have a shot of the bridge because it's like iconic to this venue. But I mean, that does nothing for me. Like, it's just a shot. It's not a pretty shot. So we went back a little bit later when it was darker and we lit the torches. So again, just LED and a backlight. Same thing here. I get asked for this shot literally every wedding, like literally. Just some fun with guys. Someone on Instagram asked me, so how do you deal with the groomsmen like at midnight? Do you have a groom that works together? But I found if you just do something fun with them, that they feel like they're part of it. It's not just like posing, kiss her on the forehead, like look this way, look that way. Just something cool and fun to do with boys, and they really enjoy it. So I mean, it is hard. You're dealing with guys that have been drinking the whole night and joking and laughing, but I've never had real issues, so it's always fun. This shot, one of my all-time favorites. They really wanted a photo with a piano, but look where the piano is. It's in the corner with a couple of lost people dancing 2 o'clock in the morning. So we haven't done the piano shot. I mean, there's a speaker right next to it, but they really wanted a shot with the piano. And then just went close up, just a torch on them, and got a beautiful shot. He didn't actually play. He can't play, but he faked it really, really well.
Nice. So, he's pulling it off. He's pulling it off.
He's pulling it off completely. So then creating a mood. If you bounce, obviously you can get these shots. But the problem with bouncing is you're not getting the motion. You're not getting that party vibe. You have to have a moment. There has to be a beautiful moment happening, like in this shot. If that moment isn't there and people are just dancing randomly, you can't capture that. So even direct flash. So going into their faces with 17 mil, blasting it in their faces at like probably F9 or something like that, just dragging that shutter a little bit, and you get that party motion, and people love it because you're like kind of part of the vibe, you're dancing around with them, and then you get these beautiful shots. And people love it because that's who they really are. That's who their guests are. You captured their guests.
You can almost hear the music start playing in it.
Yeah.
You know, I love it.
Yes. So again, just like freezing the motion with the flash, but dragging the background, and it just creates that mood of a party going on. This shoot, we arrived at Blaubergstrand at like 5 in the morning for sunrise, but there was nothing, like no sun. So the light that you see on them there, that looks like that pretty morning light, was just a speed light on very low power. So, and no mountain, we had no mountain. They really wanted the mountain, but we had to make the best of it. So again, it would have been pretty dead without that.
I have to say, just looking at the two shots on the right-hand side there, you know, you'd want to go a long way to get lighting like that. I mean, that's just such a nice look as well. You know, so I suppose it depends on the day and what the weather's like.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it would have been pretty great if you see the shot on the left without it. There's absolutely nothing in that sky. It's just a white sky pretty much. So nightmare for photographers. But yeah, I had to work with what I had. I drove a long way from my mom's house to get there. I think I woke up at like 3 to get to Cape Town. And it was so cold, but yeah. So this one as well, just after dark, you got that engagement shoot. It was rainy just before we left, just the backlight. And same thing here, just that cinematic look to create the raindrops, because you otherwise wouldn't capture it. Okay, and then we get to the challenges. Let me just get to this side. It's obviously more expensive because you need more gear. At the beginning, I think you can just use what you have. Just use a speed light. Start with a torch, like I always say to people. But like I said before, when you have a recycling time that's faster, when you have one light that can do everything, it's just so much easier. But I started out with like cheap Yongnuo flashes, and I still have a Canon 430X, like one of the oldest Canon flashes that you can get. They work. I mean, they work, but I spent a little bit more to get something that works for me now. So yeah, you're working slower obviously because you have setups to do. You can't go like in a commercial shoot obviously and plan what you're going to do. You need to work fast, but you've got mom being upset for being away a lot or for a long time from the guests, and so you need to work fast. So you're working slower, you need an assistant. You can't work alone. You can, but you're going to work a lot slower. So assistants are key. And you can just, a voice-activated light stand is like the best. Best investment you can.
You got to have a valve. Got to have a valve.
A valve. So obviously the night shoots is also a challenge because it's become one of my biggest selling points. But you're tired, you've been shooting for 14 hours, it's likely cold, you're dealing with drunk people, you struggle getting them off the dance floor, so that's always also a challenge. But yeah, I always like push through, just get that shot because it sells, it really sells. It's obviously harder to work in windy conditions with modifiers, especially in Cape Town. We've got Southeaster now. In Joburg, it was like a dream. You have this thunderclouds and like no wind. It's just beautiful. Cape Town, I mean, you can't. It's open flash or nothing, like basically, most of the time. So, yeah, so it's harder to work in windy conditions. And then shiny skin and stray hairs, especially with the backlight, is a problem. And then posing. Posing is a big deal because you have to be aware of where the light is coming from. Just as with natural light, but natural light uses a more flat look, so they would like completely backlight. So posing, you need to be aware of where the nose is, where the shadow falls. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So you need to be aware of that the whole time. And then backlight and building the image, obviously, I'll go into that now. So this is the worst thing you can do. Most people that start out, including me, when you start playing with darker shots, put down the flash, blast it at full power, light everything up, and see what happens. Like, just pray you get something. And it is nice. It works. Clients love it. It sells. But that's not all you can do. So if you see here, you can see every single stray hair. You can see how it's burning out around her head. So you basically want your backlight to be like this. So this is not an actual shot. This is just building the shot. So you see that rim lighting is very, very tiny. You just have to split them from the background. You don't need to light anything in the back. So same thing here. You just want to split them from the background. This is what happens when you have a light from the front for night photos. It's not ideal. It's very harsh. It's got no mood at all. So just putting it at the back, same shot, didn't move them at all. Same shot. I ended up using that shot as well and then filling from the front. So both photos went to the album. They loved it. Very different photos without moving at all. Same thing here. You don't want to just blast the flash at people and just hope something happens. Again, this one, you can see the perfect little rim light. You don't just want to blast the flash at people. And I see a common mistake that people do. They put the flash too low. So then it comes from the bottom here at the chin. It comes out here between the ears and lights up the ears like really red. And so you don't want to do that. Another example of perfect backlighting. Then last one, editing. A lot of people ask me, do you edit out the light stands? I don't like to overlay images, so I don't put the assistant and the light stand in the shot and then overlay it. I never ever do that, except when it's a super wide shot and it's a spectacular scene. So
or
that
the bride
is
is standing on a rock in the sea and there's only one other rock that's too close and your assistant is on that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. So only in extreme cases I will do that. So this is the most that I will ever get in an image. Quick clone out. That's it. But most of the time I try not to it because it wastes a lot of time to edit. So this is an example, like you said now, if you can't, you have to be close to them or your assistant needs to be in the shot. So in this case, I would have cloned out my assistant really small there. But that's the only time I will do it. Here I just added some color, the pinks, because flash can be a bit colder in terms of the look. So you usually just add a little bit of warmth with colors. And another example. So your last one, equipment. How are we doing for time?
No, you're all good.
We're still good.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So lighting gear, modifiers, and lens choice is obviously important. So this is basically what I use. Bottom right is an example I found of my assistant standing the sparsaki. I think that might have been a Woolies one. Yeah.
Woolies or Checkers.
So Woolies or Checkers, whatever you can find at the venue. But nowadays I have one in my bag. So just Bright being a good sport, there it stopped raining after the shoot. So that's what I would do, just loosely over the gear. Top right is my Opta. You can see it's not a very big one. So it's still soft-ish, but it's not harsh like an open flash. So it's really good for travel and for weddings where you need to move very fast. Top left is the A1, or any speed light you really can use, but the A1's got this nice round dome on it, so that helps a little bit with the softening. Still, like I said, a small light source if you look at the inverse square law and all those things, but we're not going into that. And then bottom left, my torch that I use, which I don't use as often anymore because the B10 has a LED. So that helps a lot. So this is an example of just using, in this case, I used the zoom reflector on it. I didn't have to. It was just on there. I don't know why. Just the LED on the floor. Just beautiful beauty shot. So this is basically the difference between what I used to have on the left, 500 watts overpowering the sun, and now I'm like half the size, literally. So that's what I love to use. Like I said, you can use anything. So lens choice is important. Again, the ambient light at the venue. Basically for backlit photos, you want to use a lens that has some compression. So the 70-200 is my favorite for it. Just to show you the difference of what you will get if you go on 24mm. Pretty shot, everyone wants a shot, look at each other, fairy lights around you, but it becomes boring. It's just like everything's in focus. So once you compress the background, you just get a more romantic feel. Like with the flash, it just becomes more alive, if that makes sense. Same settings, same scene, no difference, just the lens. And again, just so much more happening when you have lens compression going. Again, just longer lens, standing further, you get that beautiful bokeh. And again, so these are all taken in the same location without moving, just different couples. And then I think that's it. If anyone has any questions, they can just pop it in the comments afterwards, because obviously we're recording it now. Maybe some questions you have. I don't know, I can think of. Let me just stop sharing this. Why is it not? Mouse isn't working.
I'll stop it from here. How's that?
Can you do that?
Yeah, there we go.
That's weird. Okay. Cool.
Thank you. That was awesome. I really appreciate it.
There you are.
Yeah, I think thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It was very, very cool. I think every now and then when I see beautiful images and off-camera flash and all that, I sort of think, maybe I should put myself through that again and start shooting weddings again. Yeah.
How long has it been now? I think that, like, you start shooting weddings like what, 4 years?
Yeah, I think
years?
it's about that 3 years thereabouts. Yeah. What I wanted to do is try and hey.
That's so sad because you're so good at it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But it's not about me. It's about you. I mean, I think the stuff that you do is just so amazing. You know, just looking at the images that you've shown us today, and I really like how you've done the sort of the before and the after thing, because it's difficult for flash photography. Is difficult for people to sort of comprehend. You know, if you've never done it before. You know, it's tricky to sort of imagine what it's going to look like with the background or the ambient 2/3 down and then a little bit of over there, just to to pull them. It's like they can't see it, you know. So I think that was really, really nice. So thank you for that. I think it really.
I think
really
that's the hardest thing about using flash is you can't see what you're doing. Nowadays with the mirrorless cameras that you can see the exposure and stuff, that's nice for natural light, but flash you still need to imagine. So that's what's nice about the new lights and stuff. That's like most flashes now have some sort of modeling light or LEDs built in, which is technology advances so quickly. And I think we should also embrace it and use it. So I think the biggest tip I have for people who want to start with it is to start with a continuous light. It's not going to be as powerful as a flash, but just see what it does, like move it around, see what it does, move in closer and bring it in closer, just see what it does. And then you get some confidence. I think the worst thing is trying to expose for the background at f22 and blasting, and I'm like, oh gosh, this looks so harsh, it's ugly. Like, no, I'm not touching flash anymore. So that's the worst thing you can do.
It definitely requires a lot of practice. You know, you can't just say, okay, well, I'm going to do it today and go and do it, and you know, it's going to be perfect. You know, you need to, and that's why I like your suggestion of the continuous light, because you can get the ambient, and then you can bring the light in and you know, position it as well. And then you also know, I mean, I had this, my assistant, my Val. First it was Greg, then it was Roland, and then I confused them. I called Roland Greg, and that was not good. But anyway, so they always knew that it was you know, 45 degrees and 45 degrees, and they were either there or there, and they would say left or right, and you know, etc. But because that was the starting point. But if you don't know where the light's going to go, you know, you don't know where to position it, and then it starts you know, it starts getting quite difficult. So I think that continuous light scenario is a fantastic way to start off, and then you can try and imagine it.
Yeah, I think the thing with the 45 degrees is also like when I had people coming to help me at shoots, like photographers that want to learn and they just want to assist, and they're like, standing there 45 degrees, that's where you stand. I'm like, no, move out that way, like completely to the side, like, but why? Like they don't see it. So I think the biggest thing is explore. Just don't get stuck on that one exposed to the background 45 degrees, because it's beautiful, it works, it absolutely works. And I think when you do commercial work, that works very well. But I think for weddings also, just try different things. See what it does when it comes from the side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or from the top, completely from the top, or just play with it. And you can do this in every single genre, really. So,
absolutely. I mean, I've always said that if you can shoot a wedding and use you know, some form of additional lighting, you can pretty much shoot anything. You know, whether it's food or portraits, or you know, it's because you've then got the understanding and the tools to be able to modify to what you need.
Definitely. I myself am not interested in doing food and stuff like that. I could probably if I wanted to, but weddings, just the adrenaline, like dealing with the elements, and mother-in-law can be an element too. Like, like you have to deal with so much, like there's so much pressure. But I mean, it's not just settings, it's lighting. You're dealing with emotions. You're dealing with people that's like quite stressed or nervous, or different personalities, like 100 different personalities. The weather, like what's the weather doing? You have absolutely no control, and I think that's what drives me. I don't think I will be able to ever shoot commercial work because like I don't want control. Out there, like with the food there on the beach with 12 o'clock sun, and then the storm's coming down. What do you want to do? So I think that's more me. So that's quite weird, I know.
Yeah, I always used to describe weddings as problem solving, you know, because that's really all it is. You know, you've got to problem solve, venue, weather, people, there's just so much going on, and I think that, like you say, there is the adrenaline for that, and when you sort of put together a shot and it's like, whoa, you know, then that just makes it all worth it. You know, whatever we had happened for the last couple of hours is completely gone because the shot is just
Yeah, and especially with the night photos, I found like people don't understand that it's like basically not trial and error. There's some kind of calculation in it, obviously, but every scene is different because, like I showed you, there's no ambient to work on. So you need to see what is lit up. So people's like, can you take a night photo with me and my mom quickly?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, it doesn't really work like that.
You've got all your settings built for something else completely, and now you've got to try and.
I know. So that's where the creative modes on your camera is quite handy. I don't know about most other brands what it's called, but I know Canon's got the C1, C2, C3. So I save basically, especially on the dance floor, when I'm on like F9 and like a fifth of a second or something like that, and then people are, oh, these people are leaving, can you quickly take a photo of us? And I'm like, I'm in a fifth of a second, this is not happening. So then you just save that, like have a starting point saved, and then I switched over back to C1 is like exposing for people, C2 is dance floor. So I just switched through them. So I never used to use that. I'm like, I've had my camera for like 7-8 years. I only discovered it in the past year or two, so it's life-changing. We should read our manual.
Absolutely. I mean, the only time that I've really come anywhere near that was when I was doing, you know, getting to come to terms with video. You know, you have one of them for, let's say, the like a C log type thing, and another one for slow, and you could just, you know. But for something like you've just described, it's absolutely perfect, you know, because you've got that and you got that and you got that, and it's very quick, very cool.
Yeah, because people don't always understand. I've got a 17 mil on and I'm at a fifth of a second. This is not going to be a good shot if I take it off you. So,
yeah, and they expect you to take it right now.
Yeah. So I think there's so much you have to deal when you have the 72 on and like, please take a photo of me. like, a group shot, go stand back. So there's a lot to deal with at weddings, and I made it more difficult for myself by starting to use artificial light, I think, because this is so much more to think about. But I think it's so rewarding, and like I said, it sells. What are you doing different to everyone else? And that's how I got to meet you, because your work was different to what everyone else was doing. And like I said, I was the biggest fan of it at the time. I mean, being Cape Townian, I never saw that because everyone's shooting light and airy and pretty, and it's nice, it's beautiful, I love it. I don't shoot like that myself, so there's a market for everyone, but you need to find the balance, obviously.
Exactly. So, you need to, it's like you said, learn the rules and then use them for how you want to use them.
Yeah. Learn them and throw them away.
Yeah.
But this is just one small part of what I do. So the documentary side is completely the opposite. So not structured at all, just running around. So we might do something like that later. But
cool.
This is just one part of my work. But thank you so much. I'm looking forward to questions in the comments. I'll keep an eye on it once it's posted, and feel free to reach out to me as well, and mail me with questions if you want to connect or anything. And that's all I have to say for today. Thank you for having me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. So good to catch up with you. I think there'll certainly be a lot of questions in the comments. Facebook was not our friend today, so I'm recording it, and then I'll put it up and stream it as soon as it's finished rendering, and then answer the questions, etc. But a big thank you for you to come through today and do this. Really appreciate it. And
Certainly.
enjoy. Apparently there's a long weekend. Enjoy the long weekend.
Long weekend. What is that? Can you...
Like every other day.